Hi.
How long has it been?
Have you missed me? Oh my gosh. We've never spent this much time together. I'm trying to share our thing. I don't know how. How do you always share it?
Oh, you gotta go to your the little
I got it.
bell on your Facebook app. Is that what you're talking about? And
I found it.
look at your little bell. Yeah, yeah. So you should tag me.
Oh, okay. All right, start
And
talking.
then, we're talking about business models today.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, when I first got into the industry, it was 1996. There were really only two business models to speak of. You were either an independent brokerage or you were a big name brokerage, a national chain or something like that. And there was this other company, and it was up in Rochester, New York, where I got started. I'm from Ossining, but I started in Rochester. There was this other company that had gotten a lot of traction the past few years with this alternative business model called Remax.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like a different value proposition for the brokers they recruited and a different value proposition for the public. And to the public, it was, we are all full-time breadwinning agents. That's it. And to the agents, it was, well, we're going to give you a higher commission split, and you're almost going to work like a brokerage under the brokerage, where you're going to share in the overhead. You're going to keep all your commission, but you're going to share in the overhead, rent your office space from us. That'll be your fixed cost, and the sky's the limit after that. And all of the real big agents flocked to that model. And then later on, right before I moved back to New York, Westchester, we heard about this law firm / brokerage that for $200 would just rubber stamp you on the MLS. And that flat fee brokerage thing had its own niche. So you had every kind of, you started to see this in the 90s. And of course, now, if you're a member of the public or if you're a new agent, your head can spin because there's all kinds of business models to choose from. And the value proposition to the agents really depends on their priorities, what speaks to them, what's important to them. And a lot of it is fool's gold. And we'll get into that shortly. But that's how I kind of got introduced to all this stuff. That is how it started.
But the question really is, for the consumer, for the buyer or seller, how do they know what kind of business model they should use? How do they know the difference and how it could impact, the largest purchasing decision of their life?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so let's talk about what the consumer should look for. Mm-hmm. And we can also talk a little bit about what an agent should look for. But yeah, let's talk about the consumer. Like lots of times, this was big in the blog community years and years ago when I was on Active Rain and so forth. There was a big kind of bully pulpit for use a full-time agent. Don't use a part-time agent. And now I look over at Susie Schilling, who may be a part-time agent, but she gets full-time results and she has a full-time mentality.
Yeah, I try not to use the word part-time. Like, I don't think there's room to be a part-time agent, but you can certainly have another business or another career and be a successful real estate agent.
Well, yeah. I mean, isn't it likely that, an entrepreneur who gravitates toward a 1099 independent contractor sort of job, which is what this is, would be an entrepreneur and have other ideas and ventures that they are interested in. All right. And there are some people who are real estate agents and they do title work. There's some people that are in real estate and they are paralegals or they are in mortgages or we know people that are environmental people that have real estate licenses, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's the school teachers and everything like that don't have another entrepreneurial venture, but this is their profession, this is their thing. And in many respects, real estate is the accidental career anyway. No one goes to college to major in real estate. So yeah, if people came out of school and their first job was to go into real estate because they majored in it, that would be a thing, but we just don't see that. We do not see that. You're still trying to share this thing?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, I'm glad you did. So, for the consumer, so part-time, or what's your record, or how much is your head into this, is a question the consumer should ask. They have to know if the person they're interviewing and entrusting such a monumental amount of dollar decisions here, are they going to take care of my best interest competently?
Right.
And what is their brand known for is probably a worthwhile question that they should ask. But they should also ask about track record, recommendations, all of that. And a lot of that stuff is a lot easier to research now than it was then, because we have Google.
So what do you think for a consumer the difference would be? And it's not popular in our market yet, but it's coming, for companies that pay agents a salary instead of them being able to earn commission. How do you think that impacts the consumer?
So it's an interesting thing. So there are models, Redfin, for example, that do have agents on salary. And their pitch, their value proposition is that, well, you have an agent that's going to get paid no matter what, so they're not going to have commission breath, and they're not going to be motivated by a commission to act contrary to your best interests. Whereas the original model is, if I don't get a result for you, I don't get paid. So we work on contingency. And of course, the market favors if I don't produce a result, I don't get paid model. Mm-hmm. And the best agents are not going to go toward a salaried model, because the best agents are going to go where they can earn the most. And a salary is a ceiling. A salary is a ceiling. It is a limitation. Mm-hmm. When you're on commission, you can write your own paycheck.
Yeah.
Okay. It is an intriguing thing for people who are distrustful of a commission-based compensation model's motivation, that they'll put their paycheck ahead of me. But the answer from the industry has always been, if we don't produce a result for you, we don't get paid. It'll be interesting to see if a salary model ever does get traction, but I have yet to see a salary model get traction. And I think if an agent has what we call commission breath in this business, they seem like they're working for themselves and for them to get their paycheck and not for your best interest. That doesn't mean the entire model is off. It simply means you've got 12,900 other agents to choose from who will be better choices, or be other choices to at least look at, right? So I'm down with the contingency model. I like to eat what I kill from that point of view. And I do believe that if the agent does not have a financial incentive to get an outcome, I don't know that a salary is compelling enough for them to do what we do, the crazy stuff that we do, to earn our commissions.
Agreed. Now, what about, were you going to say something else?
Well, for example, I remember digging the footings of a foundation to a deck out in the rain, so that the building inspector could sign off on the legality of a deck. We were legalizing a deck that didn't have a permit. Mm-hmm. And of course, as I dug, I realized that it did not have a proper foundation. So we had all that to do. But if I was going to make a salary no matter what, I don't know that I would have had the incentive to drive up to just outside of Newburgh. What's that other little town? New Windsor. Drive to New Windsor at 5 o'clock at night as it got dark and digging a hole in the rain while Barbara was up on the deck smoking her cigarettes, looking at me like, you're a maniac. You're an absolute maniac. By the way, why are you digging in my yard? No, I got clearance from her to dig the hole. We had talked about it.
No, yeah, I agree. I agree. But on the flip side, I don't know that, no offense, buyers and sellers, but everybody seems to forget that part when they go out and go to open houses when they've already signed with an exclusive right to represent, or they, start looking at with houses with a whole bunch of properties. They seem to forget that how can anybody be incentivized if they're not guaranteed to get paid? So I understand why a consumer would have that mindset, right?
Right. Okay, so we're talking now about consumers who are reticent to sign an exclusive contract with one brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I'm just talking about that, the way that they perceive commission. When it comes to sellers, they're perceiving it one way, but then when it comes to working with a buyer's agent, they don't seem to care so much.
Well, yeah, we've probably planted the seeds of that ourselves by trying to pitch them that there's no extra charge or my services are free and all of that. And it's a
so they don't see the
phrased
value
way
all
of,
the time. Yeah.
Yep. It is, you're not a glorified door opener as a buyer agent. You are an advocate for the largest transaction for most people's lives. And when a buyer agent calls us and asks if we've checked on the taxes as their due diligence, I know they're not really doing their job. But I digress. What I'm surprised that you're not intrigued about more is a flat fee MLS model. I'm surprised you have not.
It's on my list. We're going to talk about it.
So that has.
The next thing was actually flat fee and or Zillow listing my property. Why should
Zillow listing your property?
And why shouldn't I let Zillow list my property?
You mean Zillow buy your property?
Oh, yeah, that's right. They don't list it. They only buy it.
Yeah, the only properties that Zillow will list themselves as the broker are the properties that they own. And when they made that policy, I was amused at the backlash at a private company wanting to use its own agents to sell its own properties that it bought with its own money. Like we're really pro entrepreneur unless we don't like the entrepreneur.
Right.
We're really pro free enterprise unless we don't like that brand.
The sky is falling. The sky is falling.
And then they're evil. So I'll tell you an interesting thing that covers both Zillow and flat fee MLS, which is sort of like assistant for sale by owner in a sense where the owner is representing themselves, but they're on the MLS, but representing themselves to a degree. And that is they will never replace us because people don't trust cheap in a transaction of this magnitude.
Or don't trust and also take advantage.
Yeah, they don't take. They will seldom take advantage of it. If there's a percentage, and my friend Derek Eisenberg, who runs one of the best flat fee brokerages in the country, has stated that model will never be more than maybe 10 or 15% of the people who are kind of like do-it-yourselfers. They just want to have more control. They want to do it themselves. They want to save money, but they're not looking to pay zero commission necessarily. They don't want to pay the listing agent's commission. They've got this idea that if the buyer broker brings a buyer, that they should get a commission, but they want to represent themselves. It's risky to a degree, but it's a legitimate model.
No, but what I was saying, you missed my point, was
I never miss your point.
It brings out the bottom feeders. They sense the vulnerability of someone who wants to save the money, if that makes sense. And they come out of the woodwork, I know, but yeah, they come out of the woodwork. And the other thing is, like in a market like this, you can argue easily, right, that with by agents being out there bragging, sold in one day, 20 offers and all that other crap. It looks like a monkey can sell a house, right?
Yes.
So, but what happens is, and now that the market's shifting a little bit, especially, I mean, there's a trend among buyers right now to throw in offers on 3-4 properties, have accepted offers even possibly on more than one property, and then leave the sellers hanging for weeks. And then, oh, you know what? We've decided, blah, 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 blah. So there's so much of that. And that's not even people trying to take advantage. That's just buyers trying to make their way in a really insane market. So you have that, right? And then you have the people who just play games.
One question that a listing agent should always ask, and I think we ask it on our own form, our online form for agents to submit offers, is have your clients offers on any other property that are not resolved?
Exactly.
All right. So that is no small thing right there.
The golden question.
What's that?
We're giving it all away. Do they have anything to sell? I mean, that is probably the most common problem with for sale by owners. They have no idea that just because somebody else owns something else means that they may not be able to buy that property. They actually have to sell their house.
The typical, if I had to guess, the typical lifespan of a for sale by owner is probably about 6-8 weeks. And in week 1, they're all filled with vim and vigor because in their first open house, they had an interested party. And they think, well, this is easy.
Yep.
And they don't know that now 3 weeks later, the interested party has disclosed that they're underqualified by $150,000. They have a house to sell, and the gift their parents are going to give them for the purchase is not going to come through till the end of the year when dad gets his bonus. And within another couple of weeks, they're listing with a broker. That's kind of the trajectory they get. Or they have somebody call and hang up, or somebody call and set up a showing and they no-show them. All kinds of just, wow, this is not as easy as I thought it would be kind of stuff. There are successful examples of flat fee MLS. I have famously, though, in our own brand, stated that probably not as many flat fee MLS closings are as successful as people think. We took a listing. We had a flat fee side model years and years ago. We had a listing in Pelham. Went on the market at $850, sold about a year later for $650. The guy continued to contact me to reduce the price because that's part of our job is we would reduce the price for him. We saw offers going in, never knew what happened to them. When we finally asked, why are all these offers never going anywhere? He said, well, we read on a blog somewhere that if they don't have a mortgage commitment, we shouldn't sign contracts with them. And I said, you can't get a mortgage commitment until you have a contract. Have you ever talked to someone who does this for a living yet? So it's sold. They saved 3 whopping % on the line item of commission and probably lost $120,000 overall in the size of the proceeds.
Yeah. So I would agree that a monkey cannot sell your house very easily, but a qualified professional agent, experience, or someone who's with an experienced team, a new agent's fantastic in my opinion because they're less jaded and very hungry, and one listing is super important to them. But making sure that you hire a qualified agent is the huge difference. But so Zillow, did you answer that one? Why wouldn't I just let Zillow
sell the Zillow?
Yeah.
You might be able to. There's going to be a markdown. Zillow will pay you closer to full market value than most cash investors, but they will not pay you the full market value. Some people will trade that.
Minus commission. I'm just kidding.
It's interesting. It's a certain percentage that is startlingly similar to a line item I've seen before on certain closing statements in some transactions. Yes. The Zillow will not buy something built before 1960, so you can take about 2/3 of Westchester and Putnam's inventory and send it out.
Yeah.
Zillow will make you an initial offer, but will modify the offer once they have someone come out and look at the property. In our market, Zillow is not buying houses. They are buying houses in some markets, but not all. So even if I wanted to sell to Zillow right now here in Briarcliff Manor, New York, or Mahopac, New York, you couldn't, because they are in markets where attorneys do not dominate things the way they do here. By the way, you might want to choose your attorney with the same eye on professionalisation that you choose.
Well, that's another reason to choose a good agent. It's their team. It's, you know, actually on a commercial side, I had these buyers, they bought a building. I ended up introducing them to an attorney who ends up becoming partners with them. And that attorney actually introduced the tenant who signed a long-term lease and blah, blah, blah. And when it was coming time to pay with me, they were trying to argue with me. Well, you know, our new partner really brought the tenant. And I said, well, who brought the new partner?
Yeah.
That's part of my experience. That's part of my 23 years of knowing what I'm doing and knowledge and putting it all together. It's not all brokerage. A lot of it is connections, having the right team players. And you know what they said? You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was value. I have
our Rolodex is a business tool. Our value has a great deal invested. One of our big value propositions at our Rolodex is our list of contacts. I can find you a good attorney. I can find you a good roofer. I can find you a good shepherd, haberdasher, locksmith. I got all of that, and it's all on my phone, and it is for my clients. So everyone cutting commission because of this nonsense. Yeah, well, people view the compensation to the agent in too many times as a slush fund for getting other things done, and not as like how that person feeds their family, which is, you know, a little awkward. I think the rebate models have learned that. We have participated in these transactions where I just got a text and I completely lost my train of thought here, because we were trying to get status on a commission. Everyone cutting commission because of this nonsense. Yeah. We were a referral company for Redfin back when they first entered the New York market, and they had a rebate model. And there was tremendous customer loyalty, not because they loved us, but because they were there for the rebate.
And I actually, honestly, Karen, if you're still listening, I'm not sure that commission is being cutted because of this nonsense. A lot of it is due to our messaging that we're putting out there. Putting out there, sold in one day with 23 offers is like the worst message you could put out there. I'm sorry. It makes it seem like anybody can do it. Yeah. First of all, I don't know if you've ever sifted through 23 offers, okay, but it's not pretty. I'm managing 23, which is probably more, if you do the math, 70 personalities that are emotional or coming from different sort of places, and managing that is a huge undertaking. So that's the message that's being put out there. So I don't want to blame like new business models because just like Phil said, I support entrepreneurship. I support competition. I support new ways of thinking and doing. That doesn't mean that I don't think a more traditional way of doing it is the best way. But I think that the agents need to learn to watch the messaging that they're sending out to the public. I would sell it on my own too if I had been reading all of that.
One of the best lines I ever heard was from Len Harley, real estate broker, I believe in Loudoun County, Maryland, years and years ago. She said, "We have met the enemy, and it is us."
Exactly. Wait, I just saw what Kieran wrote. I don't know what that meant. What was the other thing he said before?
He said he's seeing a lot of homeless recently, which is probably one of the flat fee models.
Yeah. He had said something before that. I'm not sure what he said, but yep,
Well, he repeated the fact that the highest and best is starting to be a indication of the temperature of the market.
Well, and then also like stop just defaulting to highest and best. I could go on and on, but we're not having that conversation again.
We're not going down that rabbit hole. There's not enough time. It's after 4:00, Jen. We have to wrap this up. People have to get back to their lives.
We do. We do. But bottom line is there are a lot of different options out there. I personally think everybody should have their own personal realtor. I think that was like my first slogan. You're a personal realtor.
Yeah.
So it is somebody just like, you know, an attorney, you know, doctors for different sort of things. You need a professional in the industry, most definitely. There is no saving money or cutting corners by selling it yourself. If you factor in the expenses even that you would have to lay out to sell yourself. Where did you go? Are you still there? I don't know. Phil's frozen. This was Real Estate Unscripted from two very tired people who just had like a 6-hour meeting. So have a great week. Hope to see you.